the rose ceremony, the fantasy suites, holy matrimony. Oh, won't you please take this rose? Hey, everybody, and welcome to Buns and Roses, my Bachelor recap podcast. I'm Snax the Bunny, and I'm here with some of my very best friends, and we are going to break down episode 4 of Matt James's season of The Bachelor right now. So let me introduce you to our guests. First off, we have Ellen Callaghan. Hi, Ellen.
Hello, Snax.
Ellen Callaghan is a director and editor currently living and working in Brooklyn. She is also the co-founder of Mave Partners, a service content production studio based in New York. An avid cheese enthusiast and an average guitarist who may have peaked in high school with her music skills. That's Ellen Callaghan. Woohoo!
Yay!
Thank you. Nice to be here. Nice to see everyone.
And Ellen, every time I introduce people, I like to ask them about their Bachelor journey. What is your Bachelor journey? Do you watch the show?
So I have seen a few seasons. I saw my first season when I was living with my roommate Kimberly up in Harlem, and it was the season where the Bachelor was the boring race car driver with no personality, and he got engaged to the blonde woman with no personality. So it was a really beautiful, perfect match. So then I was hooked.
I feel like they love pilots and drivers on this show. I don't know.
Yeah.
And athletes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we've got Steve Lange. Hey, Steve.
Hey, what's going on, Snax?
Hey, Steve Lange is a horror movie and hip-hop enthusiast. Director of the Junk Bucket films, now available through Trauma Entertainment, director of guest relations for Crypticon Seattle, the Pacific Northwest's largest genre convention, and creator-director of the improvised comedy troupe A Tribe Called Yes. He's also working on a script about a killer dildo. Oh my God, Steve, I hope that you're planning on talking to Katie.
Well, I am Team Katie all the way, regardless of what my background says.
It seems like, you might have an in because she lives here, so. And then finally, in our lower corner here, we have Brian and Jess. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Also known as Movie Cat. I mean, what? This is amazing. So we'll start with Jessica. Jessica Aceti is the proprietor of Sandwich Cat, known for their flagship product, Capsack, the fanny pack hat. She spends her days as the director of business development and marketing for Funko Games. She pets and paints cats. Wow. I've always wanted one of those Funko Pops made with my head because my head can bobble a little bit.
We can make that happen.
You kind of look like one right there.
I mean,
It wouldn't be a stretch.
You gotta make it happen.
Especially in the eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Kirk has been making the Invisibles happen on Filmwise for over 20 years. He spends his days as a game designer for Funko Games. He runs Movie Cat Trivia Night every Wednesday with the aforementioned Jessica on Twitch. He pets cats. Brian, does that mean that you don't paint cats?
I draw cats for
Okay.
Movie Cat, but I wouldn't call it painting them. I illustrate cats.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I used to. I've illustrated a lot of them. In fact, Steve was one of my first testers of Movie Cat.
That's true.
But I haven't drawn many lately, and I haven't been painting them like I should.
Like you should, yeah. And, I forgot to ask you, Steve, I'll come back to you, but Brian and Jess, what is your Bachelor journey?
So our journey together, I would say it was Catherine's season. Yeah. So we were on a softball team with Catherine of Catherine and Sean fame. And I remember she came to practice one day and she was like, I don't know, I'm thinking about trying out for The Bachelor. And we're like, oh, fuck, you need to do it. Oh my God. And so we started watching that. And because we knew somebody on it, it was super exciting.
It's funny, my Bachelor journey actually starts, my sister, the first year, I think it was the first year, was watching it, and I never watched it. But when I came to Seattle in 2003 to find a place to live, I was in California at the time, and I remember hanging out at the hotel, and I didn't have anything to do, so I was talking to my sister, and she forced me to watch the first, whatever episode was on at that time. So that's actually the first time I watched it. It was the first time I ever stayed in Seattle looking for a place to live.
I think it's been 25 years, so I don't know.
Wow. Chris Harrison.
It's been that long.
Is there any sort of thing online that's like Chris Harrison over the years and it shows him?
He's like Dick Clark.
He is like Dick Clark.
Yeah.
He just-
Yeah.
Someone needs to do a time lapse, like one of those creepy time lapses.
Yeah.
I want to see that of him from when he's a baby.
I wonder, oh my God, I wonder if someone has made a supercut on YouTube of him announcing the last rose.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
That's my favorite part.
We laugh every
It's
time.
like the final rose when you're ready, and then he just slinks off.
He's such a pro.
Yeah.
It's so weird because he has to come out right after that rose to tell people to say goodbye. So you'd think that they just wouldn't do, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Make any sense.
Yes.
Steve, what is your Bachelor journey?
I made an exception for you. I had foregone watching any episode of The Bachelor up until this point, and now I've watched this season in the past 2 days. I'm caught up.
Oh,
Are you
wow.
hooked?
I would say half so far, exactly what I thought it would be. Half I was totally wrong about, pleasantly.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as it was pleasant, I'm glad.
Yes.
Okay, well, before we get into the beat by beat of the episode, I'd like to go around and talk about your overall thoughts about this episode, this season, whatever you guys want to bring out so far. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway that I'm seeing online and that I feel myself is that these girls are pretty mean, and it's kind of been like a mean girl season. What do you guys think about the tone of the season so far?
I think it is interesting that after being in a pandemic and being alone, I think that I felt excited and jealous of a group of people that all got to hang out.
I
But then
know.
after seeing how toxic it was, I think it's made me feel okay about my small bubble of people, and it will keep me feeling calm from not being able to like go to shows or be in crowds for another couple months. So it's kind of helpful.
Yeah, it's like, oh, right, being around people can be terrible too, right?
I'll say that when the first episode, as they were coming out and we were getting to know them, I was like, wow, there's more normal, nice girls than
Yeah.
I normally see, right? They just seem actually legitimate people, and they were like human beings that from the outset, like I wouldn't mind hanging out with them. And then it's kind of grown into this toxic thing. But more than I've only watched we ended up watching maybe 4 episodes or 4 seasons or something like that. But I thought this one had a higher ratio of what I felt like were normal people. And then I don't know, it's starting to turn a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm very surprised by the religious undertones of this season. That to me is very confusing because I feel like they're doing things, they're praying together, they're talking a lot about religion, and then they're just like, stabbing each other in the back,
Yeah.
and then he's making out with
everyone.
everybody. So it's very confusing to me because I don't know, as an editor on the show, I might look at these two things and think, boy, these seem like they're in conflict, but maybe that's what makes it great.
Yeah, I think that they really love to toe that line, like they've got the whole, it's like the Madonna horror complex of shows,
Oh, yeah.
Steve, did you have a thought?
Yeah, I think for me, this episode sort of crystallized as a newbie because I can't compare it to other seasons. What I like most and what I don't like most about the show in general, because this episode was very much for me like, why are they all mad at each other when they should really be angry at the producers for manufacturing these situations that screw them over? But then also realizing that they can't really say that, or if they did, that wouldn't air. But then also realizing that really what I'm in it for, because I assume cynically that whatever love is found will not last that long after the show is done. Enjoying some of the cattiness and the rivalries that are forming and rooting for the people who I wouldn't necessarily think are a good match for Matt to continue just because it's better TV. But I feel like that's why some of them are still there.
And you have this really beautiful background I should bring up for anyone who's listening to the podcast and not watching. Steve has a background of roses, and then there's a picture of Matt James next to Victoria. Is Victoria someone that you hope sticks around for a long time, Steve?
Yes, I guess I've narrowed it down now into my choices. Like if I were picking for me, if I were picking for Matt, and if I were picking for good TV, and she's definitely my pick for good TV.
Oh, that's a good exercise. We should do that at the end.
Because I feel like she's getting better. Like at the beginning, I was like, oh, she's not really good at this persona she's putting on. But
No.
I feel like as it goes on, I'm like, I love her because she'll just say whatever the hell she feels like saying, regardless of.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a question, just because we haven't seen that many seasons. Is this the first time that they brought in a massive group of secondary contestants?
I think it is, and I think it's because of the pandemic. First of all, they're trying to come up with different ideas that they can do to mix it up in lockdown because they can't travel. They've done like single people, like they'd add like one person before. And on shows like Love Island and things like that, they do this technique a lot where they bust like 5 more people in, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, even Bachelor in Paradise, they do that too.
This has been like, that to me is one of the most fascinating things about the show. And usually at this point, I'd be like, I don't want to watch these people anymore. I'm going to go in the other room. And Brian's like, I'm just going to finish this. But on this episode, I actually thought it was really, it's an interesting psychology experiment, because you have all these new people in, and then all of a sudden Victoria is part of the group because she's like, we're the old school. So that I thought was pretty fascinating, and I actually want to watch the next episode to see how that progresses, where I would usually be like, I'm done.
But to your point, Steve, obviously, like, these people are all the same, right? They all tried out. And the producers took
I didn't say that.
Group and put them in here, and put this group in the ones that'll come later, and they think of it as like a team, which I get. I think it's hard not to think that you would feel that way to some degree, but it is funny how you're all pissed at them. And like you said, the producers did this. The producers said, you 5 are going to come late, and knowing they're going to throw them into this pit where they're just going to be hated,
Smosh pit of love.
Yeah.
I think it's been
that was the name originally.
Yeah.
Yes. It's been interesting to watch Victoria's journey on this of being like the most hated. And I love that she has her own like evil theme music every time she comes up. But just that like now it's turned to where she's kind of like, it's like a pod people thing where like she's like the leader and they're all
spokesperson.
Well,
they're like whatever Victoria says.
They know she's valuable because they're like, she'll say all the stuff that I'm afraid to say. Yes. And like, if she's going to manipulate some girl I also don't like out of the show, like, please go ahead.
I love there's this no hesitation. Like somebody, the new one says, yeah, it's really hard. And also just like, well, then leave.
Yeah. She's playing the game. I mean,
I know. Sometimes I wonder, and I feel like I wonder this season more than ever about the editing of this show. Because when you're an editor, and Ellen, you're an editor, Jess, you're an editor, Steve, you've done editing, Brian, you've probably edited some too, maybe a little bit. Like you kind of know the cadence of the way people speak, and you can tell when a sentence has been cut off.
Yep.
And I feel like I hear so much more of that this season than I've heard in previous seasons, or maybe I wasn't paying attention to it as much, but I feel like a lot of comments are being taken out of context with the editing this season.
Does anyone here know, like, do the producers, Victoria, like, in my mind, would not have lasted that first night?
Oh God, no. You can watch him interact with her, right, and you can see in his eyes that he is afraid of her.
So that's good TV to have her there. I'm rooting for her to stay around, but So the producers must have their picks that they're like, these 3 are staying. Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
It's probably, I don't know if they can actually, who knows? I don't know.
If they've
never been behind the scenes on
I feel like I need to watch Unreal again.
Oh, I love that show.
It feels like they mostly dictate, and they must the first night, because how would you even remember that many people's names in that situation? You must have like one person he remembers, and they're like, well, here's the list. Just say the list. Like, this is who we're keeping on.
Sure. I think
trust us, we're looking out for you, Matt.
Yeah.
I have heard that the rose ceremonies, like the lead is in front of the women, and it's not just all one moment of him handing out roses. He steps outside and looks at a board with pictures to get people's names and says like 4 of them, and then walks back out and remembers 4 more names and comes like.
Wow. So that's why we were wondering how that worked.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I mean, that being said, I guess we can get into the show. This season, they've been doing this thing with cold opens, and they tried to pick their most wow moment for the cold open, and they did the moment when Anna and all of her teeth are telling Victoria about Brittany possibly being a sex worker. And I mean, already immediately, I just want to come out and say right now that Buns and Roses. We respect sex workers, and sex work is work. And
Mhm.
screw you, Anna. So
God, I
yeah,
know.
she like just immediately. That's how they kicked off the episode. None of the producers had any problem with that, and they
No.
just are using this as a plot point to sensationalize this. And fine, whatever.
Yeah, I was hoping at least one of the women later in the episode would have said like, "Hey, why are we judging this person for being a sex worker?"
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of waiting for women to stand up for other women on this show, and it's not happening. So I don't know.
Good
I'm
point.
also confused because Chicago's a big place.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
A big place. It's so unlikely. Like, that's the thing that I keep getting confused about. It's what are the chances statistically that they have actually run into each other in Chicago? I don't know. It's just that seemed very confusing.
And enough that they remember
And
each
they're
other.
both on The Bachelor. Like the
Right.
statistic.
Mhm.
I mean, I wish you could probably figure
Yeah,
that out.
it's like 1 in 6.
There's actually only 3 clubs in Chicago.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
We're confused this whole time.
Sorry, I meant 1 in 3. It's 1 in 3.
It's Escort Paradise, Escort Terra.
So that we do that. That's the cold open, and then we come back out to Matt. He is in his giant house and looking out into the trees, and he is kind of reflecting on the fact that Sarah just left and how, suddenly he's feeling a little insecure because she kind of left, and he had feelings for her. And what if other women that he has feelings for leave on their own accord? And oh my God! And then back at the house, there is similar discussion about like, oh, we hope that Sarah's absence doesn't make Matt too bummed out, and we hope it doesn't ruin his day. And then we get a moment from Victoria where she says something along the lines of, "The trash took itself out."
Yeah.
And that's when Katie jumps to defend Sarah. And I was happy to see someone finally sticking up to Victoria. This is the first time we've seen it, and this is episode 4. I don't think anyone's really told her off yet.
Mhm.
So I was happy that Katie did that.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about this first beat in this?
I actually like that Matt was I'd sort of been preconditioned to think that most of the bachelors were kind of douchey. So I generally find it refreshing that he seems, maybe naive, but like a sweet, good dude. So the fact that he was kind of worried about whether the girls were like him, I was like, oh, I've never considered that maybe you would be worried about that since they're all so vehemently, coming after you.
That's true.
Jumping ahead a little bit, I mean, then when Katie and Victoria sit down together, I really liked the way Katie handled herself. It actually got to the point where Victoria almost looked rattled, like, I don't know, what do I want out of this?
Right.
And she's usually the one who would say, I'm not even going to sit down with you, and Katie was like, yeah, this is fine. Be what you want to be. I don't care.
I like
Yeah.
Katie.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
the best.
Yeah.
She's the best. I don't see him ending up with her, but she's my favorite.
Yeah. I think it
Yeah.
is nice also to see like drama and there being conflict between 2 women, but then having one woman handle it in a like strong but logical way,
Yeah.
like which wasn't being necessarily like overly rude or mean, was also kind of refreshing. and
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That's why if I'm scripting the show, I want it to be those 2 at the end. It won't be, but
That's what felt that moment was so interesting to me, because Victoria, her expression, it almost looks like she was like, you're not following the script. Like when she was
Yeah.
reacting to her, it just looked like she was
I don't
confused
know what my next
'cause
line is.
Katie
We're off
wasn't reading the
script.
teleprompter and they're off book.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Victoria very much feels like a like SNL caricature of someone that's on The Bachelor to me sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, Cecily Strong or Vanessa Bayer all the way could play this girl.
oh
Yes. Yes.
So then we go to this group date. It's just the evening portion of a group date. So I feel like we missed a group date. I'm kind of confused about it because at the end of the last episode, they had a date card that they never read. And then they pick it up and now it's just this cocktail party. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But then
yeah.
like, a bunch of, it's just like they just kind of throw a bunch of scenes in a hat and they pull them out.
Yeah.
They got
It used to have a
rimmed out.
formula, but it's different times now.
Yeah.
So who cares?
So they're at this cocktail party. MJ has probably become my least favorite person
She
that
is
I
fall-
like.
She has taken a big fall.
Man, because she seemed really cool, and then she
did.
just turned out
she's
so not cool.
now.
Now she looks
I know.
disheveled and just like she's so angry. She just looks like she has fallen.
Who?
Plus, like I realize
MJ.
90% of the show is just them complaining to each other about how much time they get with Matt.
Oh my
But I feel like
God.
she's the
Yes.
chief amongst the people who do nothing but complain about how much time they get with Matt.
Yeah, MJ and
Yes.
Anna are coming in strong with that. Okay, so not much happens on this evening date, although we get that nice moment with Chelsea where she talks about her hair, and I liked that.
I like her.
Mhm.
She's-
I love
I like
Chelsea.
her generally.
Really down
She's
there.
always seems super cool, and they kiss, and she gets the group date rose. And I thought that was nice because she hasn't gotten a lot of screen time so far.
Yeah, I think just hearing a nice background of a character again, and not hearing Anna and MJ and Victoria complain for so
Refreshing.
long is nice.
Yeah, so the next part is so funny because it's just, oh my God, they lay it on so thick where you know something is about to happen. Like the producers are somehow feeding the women these lines. So they're all saying things like, wow, well, I'm ready to put all the drama behind us. I don't know about you. I'm ready to have a great night. Yeah, I just think I'm ready to just put it behind us and just, I don't know, have a great night. And then, they're all saying these types of things. And then, of course, this is the night where we see that 5 more women are showing up. Before that happens, Victoria pulls Matt aside because she wants some time with him. And that's when she's interrupted by Chris Harrison, who takes him out to greet the 5 women.
My favorite part of this little segment, I was watching it with subtitles, is that when Chris Harrison walks in, the subtitle read "quirky dramatic music." It was aptly described, but it was quirky dramatic music.
The perfect music for a Chris Harrison moment, really.
He's quirky and dramatic.
This was the moment that I, the thing that I mentioned earlier about the psychology of this old group and the new group and somebody coming back. This was the moment when Victoria was like, you guys, and there's a limo outside. And they were all like, wait, Victoria knows something's going on. And it was this weird shift in the perception of Victoria. Also, I thought there wasn't that many good entrances, but I don't know if we're at that part yet. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean,
right there.
so these 5 women show up, and Brittany's the first one out of the limo, and she, immediately comes out, introduces herself, and starts making out with him, which I'm never a fan of that move. Like, just don't do that.
No.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Kind of a consent moment. I
Yeah.
just feel like
Yeah.
Not
say
cool.
hi, I don't know.
I would have respected Matt if he had just kind of gone, hey, that's great, but not yet,
Right.
know you, but whatever.
He
He's
really
taken by
leaned
surprise.
into it.
He
though.
did.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have just given him a meatball, but that's just
That would have
Man.
worked for me. I would marry a person that gave me a meatball, I think. Just done.
I mean, I'm still talking
Show
about
over.
it. So.
Brittany is, and then we had Kimberly, who was the ICU nurse, and we had Catalina, who was the Puerto Rican beauty queen, and then there was Ryan and Michelle. Michelle was the school teacher who was the biggest standout of this group for me.
Oh yeah.
So these 5 women arrive, and the OG ladies are immediately just terrible to them. As if it was their choice to show up 4 weeks late, which it definitely wasn't.
I don't know. I just love the Victoria moment of like, this is still like Victoria can do something. I'm like, whoa, like just grabbing the tiara off of the.
Yeah, she snatched her crown right away.
But the rest of the women were like, Victoria, don't.
Right.
But inside they're like, yeah, oh.
It was such a weird shift.
Yeah, I think just that you nailed it, that it's like a perfect psychology experiment, weirdly, of like, put a group of women in isolation and give them the goal that they have to get married to this man, and like keep them in isolation, and they're getting like knocked off the show, and then add more people when they're just getting comfortable. It's like a lot.
But they act so surprised. I'm just like, how are you? You might be surprised about the specific thing they've done to you, but like, you got to know they're going to throw hurdles at you.
Also, you started with like 36 or whatever women in the first place. Like, you should be prepared for anything. It's 5 more women. and you already are in here with.
Yeah, and if anything, they do have, the new ones have a disadvantage. Like in some ways, I guess we're jumping ahead again, but the 4 of them get roses. Like I would have thought as Matt, if I was in Matt's shoes, I don't even know if I'd want these new women. It'd be like, wait,
no.
Don't do this. And maybe he was, and maybe they make him keep some, but they're at a disadvantage. He's gotten to know these other women a lot more,
Yeah. The one of them is my pick right now.
Michelle?
Michelle, yeah, I think she's going.
That's my pick too.
They just seem to. I mean,
that's
we'll get to their date later,
pick.
but
yeah,
exactly. That's the for him pick.
Yeah, once she turned to him and said, "I'm looking for someone who wants to change the world with me," I was like, "Okay, they're a good match."
That's like my basic strategy. Is like the thing I notice is it seems like some of the women only talk to him about how hard the experience is of going through everything. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not going, you need to talk about the future and building a family, that seems like what he's looking.
It was Michelle that brought up the faith, right? That she was looking for, then brought up her family was into faith and all that. Am I mixing her up with somebody else? Because at that point I thought, well, they do seem like a good match. But
she might have. I may have blanked out because every time someone talks about their faith on this show, I black out for a second.
It's true.
I also do.
He is that. So,
So I feel like we're also headed for more of that because as the women get eliminated, you would think that eventually he's going to need to discuss religion as being part of a life with the person he's going to spend the rest of his life with.
Yeah, for sure.
I was surprised I bet a few of the ladies were like, oh shit.
Yeah, they got
this is going to be a problem probably later for me.
Religion is a big thing. You would think that if this show is truly meant for finding true love for this man,
deal breaker.
Yeah, they would bet that. But obviously they're got to make good television. And maybe he's not as into faith as they're showing so far.
I don't know. Anyone that has everybody pray when you first he's real religious.
I was thinking that would be funny though if when he did that there was like a couple women that were like, "Ooh," and just backed out of the room at that point.
Yeah,
or something.
That's what I was like. Like they hide the Star of David into their shirt.
When I used to go to church and people would be praying and they're all like this, and I'm the one looking around. If there were a couple of women just kind of.
Though I also suppose it would be good TV later on if he has a crisis of faith where he has to, decide between his heart and his faith or something like that. But I would hope they wouldn't intentionally torture the sweet man like that.
You could do a spin-off version that's very dramatic like that.
How about when Victoria invented the word slore?
I did write that down. Yeah.
Oh yeah, a slut whore. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Is that what that is?
It would be creative, except it's not at all.
Yeah. I don't remember who she said that about, but I did write that down. I wrote down that they also said so disrespectful so many times about each other, just like
it's
doing
true.
Nothing.
Yeah, I think MJ is really stuck on this idea that the women who have been around are entitled to time before anybody else, as if there's like some system of fairness or it's a meritocracy and like seniority matters. Like she's not getting it, that it's a TV show and they're going to do whatever the fuck they want. It's not like, I think it's
You're
so
here
funny.
to be exploited.
She gets really hung up. She's like, these women don't get it. We have been here. They don't get it.
I'm just waiting for the moment. Victoria keeps saying, "I'm literally," at least she says literally like every
She uses literally.
I'm waiting for the moment when the big twist is that we find out that she is literally a queen. Like there's some country out there that she is the queen of, and because she keeps saying she's literally the queen, and I want that to turn out to be true.
That's what I got to do. I got to work on my micronation, and then I'm going to make her the queen.
Yeah. Cool. Anna was like, I'm literally shaking right now after all the women come in. And then she tells the cameras that she recognizes Brittany from Chicago, and she's like sketchy. She's not here for Matt. She fucking sucks, but I don't know her.
Yeah, I want to know how this information reached her, whether it was.
I know. Well, having so many people that messaged her, they're like, "There's this girl that you don't know, and she's sketchy."
Watch out for her.
Also, I thought they can't communicate when they're there. Like I thought that was part of it, but maybe not. I don't know.
I heard on another podcast, actually, they did talk about this, and it's true. I hadn't really thought about it. Like, in doing that, basically, she kind of outed herself as being someone who probably told all of her friends, like, oh, I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but I'm going to be on The Bachelor.
Sure.
And that Brittany did the same thing, and
Yeah.
that they had some overlap.
Yeah,
But that they told people when they weren't supposed to, and then that's how they found out that they had that connection or something.
That's plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel sad in general of The Bachelor it seems like they're trying to take steps forward into being progressive, but then again run the storyline of like
Right.
calling someone an escort and slut shaming someone.
Well, and it's like
drama and
immediately
terrible.
it's like immediately debunked and squashed by the end of the episode, but yet it was what they used to market the episode entirely.
Right, which even like who cares if she was or is.
And so yeah, we get to the rose ceremony. He keeps 4 out of the 5 new women, and this obviously rattles all the OG ladies. And that's kind of the end of the night after some people complaining and stuff. And then the next day, we get Ben Higgins, former Bachelor Ben Higgins. He has the personality of a cardboard box to me. I just don't think Ben Higgins is at all good television.
So boring. He's so boring.
And
He certainly made no impression on me.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember
I
him.
forgot he was in the episode, to be honest.
I had to Google him.
Yeah, and also, like, I really don't like when they try to pretend that the lead is friends with former Bachelor people. It's like, no, they've never met. You're faking this friendship. Like, this is so stupid,
Mm-hmm.
Also, his advice was literally just observing what was happening. His advice was, well, there's new people now, and then there were old people before. You're gonna have to make a decision. It's like, yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, he's kind of what I thought The Bachelor would be like.
Yeah.
he's the stereotype I had in my head.
I love watching this show with subtitles because there's so many sentences that go nowhere. Like, it's just words. It's just Bachelor word salad. It's just like journey, walls up, vulnerable, journey.
we need a Bachelor word cloud
Yeah.
over all of the episodes over time.
Ooh.
Vulnerable's big. We were saying vulnerable.
Unpacking.
All the right
Unpacking.
reasons.
Yeah.
And then
Unpacking
I
is
see,
All the right
good.
reasons.
I see you. Everyone, I see you.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
And what does that look like? And this is a lot. This is just a lot. Do you think this is a lot?
My story.
I just want a mashup of all the close-ups of him putting his hand on someone's knee. That's what
Oh my
I
God,
want.
yes.
He's a big knee rubber.
And he's always exhaling. He's always going, constantly exhaling.
I can sympathize with that. I exhale a lot during this show too.
I'm waiting to exhale. Okay, so then we've got this group date. It's this like pumpkin acorn challenge. It looked kind of fun actually, like rowing in these giant hollowed out pumpkins. Maggie has kind of a hard time with this, which I found adorable. I really like her.
It was endearing.
Yeah, I like her
Very
too.
endearing.
And then they have to put on squirrel suits. What up? And like look around for acorns. And it's kind of a silly, ridiculous challenge, but I was here for it. I liked it. It was a lot of like basic bitch fall stuff, and I'm into it.
Is this par for the course for dates, or are they just running out of ideas and pandemic
This
caused
has
them to
been
have
more
to?
physical than I remember, like the boxing and the fighting and the paintball thing or
Well,
whatever.
it seems like in majority of the episodes they're saying these are Chris Harrison's ideas. So is this new that Chris Harrison is the curator of the challenges, or does that
Kind of don't know why they keep saying that. It's so weird that they're like
Yeah,
Chris Harrison.
That's a
made
lot
this
about
date.
Chris Harrison, though. If these are all his challenges, are getting women to just beat up each other,
Well, I think it'd be funny if like every challenge has something else he's promoting, because the sexy romance one was like my
Right,
book, and it'd be
yeah.
funny if
Right.
this one was like my new maple syrup or whatever.
The
It's all
Fat
just a
Jack
vehicle for
challenge.
him.
Yeah.
I hope so. I really
Um,
hope so now.
Yeah, you know what I think it could be is that maybe they had some really, really lame dates, and Chris Harrison looked at the synopsis and he's like, no, And then the producers were like, all right, Chris, you make the dates. And then
he was like squirrel suits.
he's like, squirrel
Girl
suit.
on girl fighting and
I do like the idea that maybe there was like nice painting sessions or something before, and he was like, nope, now it's boxing. Now it's
Yeah.
this. Like,
I'm just seeing him taking a red marker to the scripts and being like, no. So that was, I mean, the challenge was fine. Someone said, I literally couldn't find my acorn anywhere, and I wrote that down because it was really funny.
Well, that's because what's her
Anna
face?
hid
Anna hid Britney's.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh yeah, the acorn was hidden, which was ridiculous. And Mari ends up winning that challenge. And then at the after party, he starts talking to Anna, who is just very threatened about time. And you're right, like she only really talks to him about, and she starts like almost rapid fire going through her childhood. She's like, when I was a kid, I went outdoors a lot and da da da. And she's so like nervous about time, but when she does get his time, she's not saying anything and she's not
Yeah, I don't think
connecting
there's
with
much
him.
there.
And, you know, Brittany tries to interrupt and she says, no, can you give us 5 more minutes? And it's funny because at that point, Matt was like, what is it you need me to know about you?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she says nothing, basically.
No.
Gives up and she goes, I'll find you later.
Yeah, you nailed that one, Snax.
And sorry, that was Anna, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's very telling about her personality, though, is she also said, my dream would be we all go on this and I don't have to say anything and he just
And he
chooses
picks me,
me.
gives me a rose. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one sentence, I was like, oh, I know all about you now. You can
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the group date Rose goes to Bree. He has a nice moment with Bree, and they have a good connection so far. It seems like
Yeah, I
she's-
like her too.
She's a front runner for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
And after the rose is given, Anna decides to confront Brittany about all the rumors she's heard about her. So in front of a bunch of people, she's like, hey, so I heard you're a sex worker and blah, blah, blah.
Well, but the clever thing is she like disguises it as trying to help her. Like, I want you to be able to address these rumors, so I'm going to and say them in front of everyone.
Right. The cameras and
to help
everybody make
you.
sure. And don't worry, I told other people in the house ahead of time
Yeah.
too. So just the people that aren't in the room also know.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, Brittany's like, you've told everybody this? Like, no. So that is a pretty crazy moment, and Anna handles it terribly. And poor Brittany tries to defend herself. And then, yeah, that's basically the end of that scene. Back at the house, they learn that the next one-on-one is going to the new girl, Michelle. And
Surprise.
MJ just thinks this is a grave injustice again. And it's, of course, the producers are going to do this. But
Yeah, you got to see that one
Mhm.
coming.
yeah, I mean, duh,
Yeah.
Well said.
Duh.
you know? So Michelle gets the one-on-one, and it's a great date. I think they have a pretty good connection. I think that she seems cool. Chris Harrison, who they always reference with first and last name. They never say Chris.
Mhm.
They always say Chris
Mhm.
Harrison. Yes, they do this like scavenger hunt thing. They pop balloons and ask each other questions. They both say they want 3 kids simultaneously, and then they go up into a hot air balloon and they kiss. And the women, of course, are outside with binoculars and they spot the balloon kiss.
Yeah, that felt very like the producers were like, "Hey, ladies, take these binoculars and look outside. The
There's a
sun
cool-
might piss you off."
I don't know why at the moment I got kind of obsessed thinking, boy, they do these somewhat risky activities on this show. And I started thinking about their insurance policy. And then I started thinking about like, what if something happened? Because, you know, they do all these things like hot air balloons,
Well, the ATV,
mini
they
They
planes.
fell off the ATV.
Like, it's so interesting to me, even zip lining, all of these activities that there's like a high injury probability.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know
they
what
must
I
have a
mean?
release of some sort.
Oh yeah, I think that they are insured. Like,
But it's also like, what if maybe, but do they want
Yeah,
people
are they
to hurt
hoping?
themselves?
You know,
Like,
yeah.
like that's what I'm wondering is, do they do these things because they're they're trying to get them nervous or amp them up and amp up the energy, or they're hoping that they hurt themselves.
Yeah, like
I mean, honestly, having a bunch of people who just learned how to box earlier that day hit each other in the face, even with a helmet protection on, is not. That's not smart.
Yeah.
Good. Two physical injuries each season, I think, is what they're hoping for.
They're hoping to have an ambulance in the next promo. They want
the ambulance. Yeah. Because boxing, zip lining, mini plane, hot air balloon, ATV, these are all things can go horribly wrong.
Yeah, I assume you just have to sign a hold harmless or some sort of agreement.
Yeah.
Reading porn that they've written,
Right.
Bringing out dildos, everything.
But anyway, the date was really romantic.
I guess this is why it's like all very young people that seem very in shape. Because I guess if I was on The Bachelor, they're like, you're going to do this crazy thing. I'd be like, no. This body up there.
I think the stronger choice is to abstain from this activity.
Yes.
He'll respect that.
What's a date that Chris Harrison didn't plan? I'll do that one.
Chris Harrison is like, shark cage, and then you're going to go in there and you're going to have a bunch of cat food and the sharks are going to go crazy.
I don't know if anyone watched Pilot Pete's season last year. He was the Bachelor last year, and oh my God, it's like you do all these dangerous challenges, and he got a really bad injury stepping out of a golf cart. Like he ended up having to go to the ER because he was like holding a beer and getting into a golf cart and like fell somehow and like hit his head on his beer and like,
wow.
So for the whole like fantasy suite, he has this gash in his head, and and the women are like, "Wow, he's so dreamy." And you like cut to him, and he's got this crazy gash in his head, and it was the funniest thing. I loved it. So yeah, so this date with Michelle, after they have their hot air balloon moment, they do the evening portion of the date, which is where they're hanging out by all these old cars, and I thought that was kind of a neat setting. It was nice to see something different, and it was really funny to me because I was just mentioning last week that they've been ending every single one-on-one date in a hot tub, and this one they ended in the backseat of a car. And I thought that was like,
he said it reminded him of high school.
Yeah, it's like, just make out here. I don't know.
I really like her. She's my new front runner. However, she said one of like my least favorite things a person can say, or have in like a dating profile at the beginning of the date. She said, "I'm a person who likes to have fun," which is nobody doesn't like to have fun. That's why it's fun. So like, that's my thing. Sorry,
okay,
but since then though, it's all uphill. She seems great.
I have things like that too, like things that seem harmless on a dating profile that really drive me crazy. And one of them for me is when someone describes themselves as easygoing. I think that is my least. Every time who is easygoing all the time? You're not.
Or when a guy's like, "I'm a good dude. I'm a good man." Like, that's not for you to say. Right?
If Matthew McConaughey was on a dating profile and was like, "I'm easygoing," I'd be like, "Yes, you are. That's correct."
Yeah. Well, the only person that could say that then would give it to Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So back at the house, there's another group date card. It's like never ending. And this one is, all the OG ladies basically, and this boxing date, which, again, it's ridiculous that these women who don't know how to fight are put in a boxing ring with each other. And Serena gets hit in the nose, and it's just a bad idea.
Yeah, the only funny part for me was when they had a wide shot of most of them at the moment they learned they would be boxing, and you could just see them all be like, oh, "My face!" Like collectively, like be like, "Oh shit, my face!"
Yeah, I thought it was really weird. Did anyone think so? They brought Wells in. He was in a previous season, because we don't have Fred Willard anymore. This is where Fred Willard would normally come in and be the commentator, like he was in Best in Show. He would do this in Bachelor seasons a lot, and so they've been just filling in with whoever, and they decided they would bring Wells on. And I definitely thought he looked like he was green screened in. It was really weird. There was like an outline around him, but then I saw a photo that he was actually there. And I don't know why they would bother green screening him, but I'll post some of the footage over this so that you can see what I'm talking about. But he did not look like he was there. It was really weird.
Oh, weird. I don't know if I noticed, but
Yeah.
I noticed something like that though when they did the capture the flag or capture the heart thing. When they cut to Chris Harrison and somebody, I guess it must have been Matt, but they looked like they were green screened to me too, and I'm sure they weren't. But there were outlines around them that just must have been some weird lighting.
Yeah.
Maybe they're all at home, and this whole thing.
It's all holograms.
Yeah, it's all just they're interacting.
That's why Matt has to open his eyes when he goes in for a kiss, because he's looking at a tennis ball.
mystery solved. Now we know.
Yeah. So yeah, the last beat of the episode is where this Brittany situation is starting to explode. With the women in the house. We cut to Anna and Victoria, and they're talking about Brittany, and Victoria says, Brittany is straight up serial killer weird. And Catalina is the dumbest hoe I've ever met.
The dumbest hoe.
The dumbest hoe I've ever met. And then, this conversation opens up to the full group of ladies, and they're all just bitching about it. And this is the moment where Katie finally stands up and says, you know what? Like, they have to live with us. Like, let's be cool. And, someone kind of chuckles at it and like laughs at Katie. And the women aren't quite as ready to welcome these women. And they have this sort of bitchy, like, Jasenia says, I just love us. And Serena C is like, yeah, me too. And they kind of want to be the varsity squad, and they kind of want the division because they kind of love it. They're really enjoying banding together against these women. What did you guys think about this moment in the episode?
I liked how it was cut. I feel like it was kind of like an editor that also liked Katie, of just having kind of like showcasing these women say ridiculous things and be mean, and then showing her tried to be like patient, and then the music kind of build to her finally being like, no,
for sure,
like kind of ridiculous. But I thought was like, from as an editor too, I kind of just liked how it was all put together.
Yeah, I liked this scene too. I thought it was very clear what was happening, and it didn't feel too manufactured to me.
I just think again, it's obviously it's a human experiment, right? The whole thing is a human experiment. And so I think that moment was really interesting because in some ways I wonder, do a lot of the other women think, I don't have a chance, so I can at least make these friendships here and bond with these women. And this is a way to bond, Like, I don't know. I thought it was interesting when she stands up, because it's like, oh no, they're not all the same. Somebody's different. And it was exciting to see that somebody was different.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, she does go out and she tells Matt. And I think that normally when someone is like the tattler or the person that goes to tell, it usually is, but I kind of think in this case, this is the way to go. And I also just didn't see any other way to handle it in the house. Like, he's the one who needs to crack down on it, because Katie's word is just not going over well with these women. And she knows that if it comes from him, they'll actually maybe do it. Like, what do they have to gain from being dicks if that's not what he wants?
Yeah, I think she seemed to go about it in a good way too. I wasn't sure if she'd go up and be like Anna and Victoria.
Exactly.
And doing
she didn't throw anyone under the bus.
Yeah, we're just kind of like, there's a mob mentality that's happening that's pretty toxic that should be addressed.
I thought that was kind of like, in some ways, within organizations, like a corporate moment, when somebody is like, I got to tell my boss that things are going on. I'm not going to say who it is, but
Well, and she didn't make it about her specifically. She was like, look, the entire house sucks right now for everybody. You might want to say something about it, since.
And usually that moment is somebody being like, I'm having problems. And you're like, no, don't do it. This is bad. You're going to go. You're going to get voted off.
Yeah, exactly. I think like the nature of what she had to say to Matt made this a different like version of, tattling, I guess, for lack of a better word. I hate that word, but whatever. And then, Matt has a moment where he's going to be like, he reflects on it and he's like, oh, I got to do something about this. And that's where the episode ends. And we see the scenes for next week and we see that this is going to continue to blow up. We see Matt working out in the forest. There's a lot of, just really epic forest workout footage. He drops
My question.
Yeah.
I always wonder with all those whether they just film all that in one big clump before the show even starts, like all the wistful bridge shots and things. Like they're just like, today we're going to shoot you being sad all day just for when we need it.
I mean, I think that they have plenty of time to do that. While the women are bitching about each other, they're like, Matt, go work out in the woods. I don't know. We'll film you.
Well, you could see when Katie went up to like tell him about all this, there's like 5 PA guys talking to him or crew members, and they instantly just like run off camera.
Yeah.
They were discussing future moments that they need to get with him with his shirt off. They're like, do whatever, just have your shirt off.
I mean, they waited like 80% of this episode to get to it. I was disappointed.
I know.
They got to have a Victoria cam, though, where it's just like, you're on Victoria the entire time.
I bet they do. I'll bet there's no minute that she's not being covered.
They cut back to her. It's basically every other scene is something, and then Victoria, and then Victoria. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your guys' now we're on episode 4, and what is your guys' take on the authenticity of Victoria? I mean, I'm coming from the place of like, okay, she seems like a total like UCB caricature. Like there's an improv actor who just decided to create a backstory, and because there's something too like skilled about how ridiculous she is. Like it feels too like knowing in a way. But then it's like, then I've seen things like where she's like, I've heard that she just sucks in real life, and other people have said like, no, this is how she is. And then, there's a photo of her that's floating around where there's a Trump flag behind her. So she, is probably a Trump supporter. And I just can't get a good read on Victoria and who I even think she is.
I think so. She just took all of her social media private because she couldn't, was not handling the negative commentary well, which makes me think that she didn't understand what an asshole she was.
I felt, or the first couple of episodes I was watching thinking, oh, this is fake. They've got this plant. She's an actress. This is, she's good at it, but this is fake. And then as it's gone on, I'm like, I think she's legit. I think
it's maybe in the middle.
In the middle.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think she's not the best actress, but this is something she's put. This can't be how she is in real life, right? Not completely.
I was convinced.
Anytime she wants to stand out, so that's
But the thing is, like, for somebody that wants attention, for them to take their social media private is really, I don't know. I thought that was really interesting because somebody like that, you would think they would go at great lengths to just get the attention all the time, no matter what. And I think she probably was not aware how she existed in the world,
I guess she has a mugshot too. That was the first thing that came up when I Googled to get this background was.
Yeah, she's shoplifted, which is like, of course. Ellen, you had something?
Well, I mean, I guess I haven't looked her up. I didn't know that she made her social media private, which is interesting. But the first few episodes, I was also convinced that she was an improv actress. Like it would just seem like such a perfect caricature. And then when she did the reading and everything too, the like erotic reading, I was just like, we talked about it too, for timing being so good that it's like, no, like she's too smart. Yeah. It's got to be fake, but more. I mean, she is smart in how she's manipulative with all the women. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Like, I'm now unsure if she's
because I don't think she's into Matt. I don't think she's into Matt that much. As she's just into being seen.
I mean, I can't imagine that he's into her. He keeps giving her roses. I don't know what's, it's like, of course she's going to stick around. And I only want her to stick around is because I just really want to see if there's an authentic moment with her. Like I don't think I've seen, everything is so arch and so like just larger than life. And I want to see a moment where she's truly, I'm going to use a Bachelor word, vulnerable.
Yeah, because even when she's trying to be vulnerable with him, it still sounds fake and manufactured.
Fake, yeah. It
She's
sounds
not
like,
really saying anything of substance.
it sounds
There
like
was-
performative vulnerability, you know?
There was that moment again with Katie though, where when it like Jess said, it almost seemed like they went off script, where she did look almost like she was human and didn't. And certainly they could have edited this differently if they wanted her to be this person that was always on. But they cut to her and she was kind of at a loss for words.
She was flustered.
She was flustered, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know what she was trying to. And Katie said the same thing. What are you trying to accomplish with this? And you know, I think she was just like, I don't know.
She did say something in that scene that I thought was really, really funny. Let me find it. Oh, wait.
I think I know.
Yeah, okay. She goes, I mean, if you try to shut me down again, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
them's fighting words right there.
She's like, if you even try to step to me,
Maybe don't.
just don't. Just don't.
It's like, just stop. Just don't.
I probably wouldn't.
I like her even
Hey.
saying that she can express herself with name calling. Like, way to really stand up for like,
Yeah.
herself in that moment.
Well, I like when
I
she calls out the other women toxic, and then she's like, and then she's
Yeah.
doing all the name calling and
Yeah.
stuff.
That,
That's why I
That-
love her, because she has absolutely no self-awareness whatsoever.
I know. I might go back to my like pod person theory. Like maybe she is a pod person and she's also like thinking this is how humans are, especially on this show. And it's like, I think they're very dramatic and I'll make them dramatic too. So they get along. I don't know.
Or
Yeah,
maybe
she-
she'll rip her face off and she'll be a former contestant.
And then she'll be vulnerable.
she is an AI that has been forced to watch all 25 seasons of The Bachelor up till now, and now she's just arrived. And she's like, the right reasons.
Back to charm.
Okay, I want to go around and do the thing that what Steve was talking about. Is who do you think Matt will pick, and who do you think you would pick, and who do you think is the best for ratings?
I think Michelle right now is my lead for him, or seems like the best mate for him.
Yeah.
Katie would be the pick I would pick for me. And well, obviously the ratings queen is the queen.
Victoria.
I think I agree. I mean, I also like Chelsea, but I think that Katie for some P&W representation and for, you know, like at least standing up occasionally for things that seem wrong in the house. But Michelle's my pick right now for him.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys?
My favorite is Katie, I think, as well. For Matt, you know, it's the same ones you guys have mentioned. I think I like Bree as well. I think Bree it seems really, really intelligent. We don't see a lot. We don't see as much of her yet. But I think Bree seems really cool and down to earth. Chelsea's really down to earth. But, you know, again, for Matt, I don't know Matt well enough, but I would say one of those three, Bree, Michelle, or Chelsea to me.
Yeah.
And then other than Jess, you know, for me, it would be probably Katie if it wasn't Jess, you know.
Damn you, Brian. Yeah, for Matt, I mean, gosh, he really had a strong connection with Michelle. It was hard to, when they were on the date, it was like, yeah, they should just end this and they'll get together now. I thought early, it seemed like Rachel was one initially when she
The
got
graphic designer.
yeah, when she got out of the like limo on the first episode, it seemed like he really liked her.
Mhm.
But she seems pretty down to earth too.
But I feel like Michelle is definitely the front runner. For ratings, obviously Victoria. For myself, I would say Katie is great. I also like Abigail.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Abigail
I'm
too.
not
Yeah.
to like Abigail.
Yeah, she's just
sweet.
very
She's a sweetheart.
She's not dramatic.
No, yeah, she seems like
She's
someone you could actually
Mhm.
hang out with.
That sweet girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would have probably said, you know, Bree for Matt's choice until tonight. And I think I
Mhm.
agree. I think Michelle, I think they had a better connection. And I think Matt just like, he seemed like he had more character around her. He just seemed
Mhm.
a little bit more animated than I've seen him with the other women. So I'd say Michelle for me as my top choice for Matt. And then my favorite, I mean, I love Katie, but I think I might love Maggie just a little bit more.
Was it because of the last scene?
So yeah, we want to
'Cause
talk
she
about
can't
the
row
last
very well.
scene. This dance scene where she
Oh.
can dance
Oh,
is
Oh,
so
I loved it.
funny. I love her. I love that she talks about dancing and then just says, "Dance for me."
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he gets up and does this ridiculous like TikTok dance. It's so funny because it's completely silent, and you
Right.
just
I
hear
love that
him.
they did not, I
Not
love they did not
completely.
put music behind it. I thought
It's
that
Yeah.
not completely silent. You can hear him whispering and counting to himself, so
Yeah.
he remembers what
It's
to
like-
do next. I listened to it with
And you hear
headphones,
the
and I was
fire
like, "Is he?"
crackling.
Yeah, I was like, "Is he counting as he's dancing?"
It's so weird. I want to like take that moment and put like a dancing baby from Ally McBeal next to him or something.
Yes. Definitely the best part of the episode was that scene. As always,
Yeah.
usually the last blooper scene is always the best part.
And I
of the
also
episode.
loved Maggie just not being able to row the pumpkin. I like both times she
Yeah.
did this episode. She was delightful. And when the women showed up, I think her only quote was like, "This is too much."
I do want them to give her more screen time.
Yeah.
Like
You
I
know,
don't
yeah,
need annoying women complaining all the time.
exactly.
Okay.
I would love to see more of her. I think she's so funny. And then yeah, for ratings, I mean, obviously Victoria, the Victoria, Anna, MJ, Mean Girl triumvirate. If
Yeah.
they stick around much longer, ugh, I mean, they're pretty terrible.
Mhm.
I
MJ
feel
looks
like we're going to lose at
Heather
least
stuff.
one of them next week.
Yeah.
right? What's the Heather
I
that
hope.
MJ looks like?
She
Oh
looks
yeah, MJ looks like a Heather.
She
Yeah.
does look like a
Yeah.
She
Heather.
does.
Heather
yeah.
McNamara,
Nice.
I think.
Nice call.
Yeah.
Good one. Good pull. Cool. So, I mean, that's basically the end of this episode. And I want to see if you guys have anything that you want to plug. I'll go around, and if you guys have anything that you want people to share or anything you've seen in quarantine that you love, anything goes.
I started a production company during quarantine called Mave Partners.
Woot
So
woot.
if you need content or anything like that, you should call me. You should give me money. I work really hard. I'm pretty funny. I watch The Bachelor. We could talk about The Bachelor.
Yeah,
Have a great time.
I can be a professional reference. I vouch for Ellen highly.
I vouch for Ellen. Too. Yeah.
Best crotch
Oh.
shot in the business.
Thank you. Thank you. If you need some crotch shots, I've got references.
If you want a montage of Matt's hand on people's legs, you call Ellen.
Actually, exactly.
Steve, what about you?
I'm just plugging the reopening of society so that we can all get back to doing the creative endeavors that we also enjoy.
Plug.
Though, as far as other people's stuff, I just saw a movie that I loved called Psycho Gorman. It is a low budget horror comedy that if you don't like it, I question the existence of your soul.
And people can see your horror movie if they go to Trauma, right? Junk
They
Bucket.
can. In fact, all of you were involved in some way or shape or form.
Yeah.
If you want to see all of us in a horror movie about
Yes.
a killer who cuts off people's junk, go find it at Trauma Entertainment.
Yes, or Amazon or
Or Amazon.
iTunes or pretty much anywhere you get stuff.
Sweet. All right, Movie Cat, Brian and Jess.
Brian just started a trivia league, which is really exciting. So Brian's been doing Filmwise for over 20 years, making the invisibles happen for over 20 years. And he just launched on Patreon a trivia league. And every week there's content 3 days
Right
a
now.
week.
I mean, it hasn't. The league actually kicks off maybe March 1st. I'm getting it ready. I'm doing practice rounds now, so I'm kind of figuring out what exactly it is. But
Is
But
there a maximum number of people that can join the league, or is it indefinite?
indefinite. And this is one thing where, as it scales, if it does get bigger, I'll have to do some stuff. But there's no limit. No
Okay,
limit.
cool. So yeah, I'll share a link to that, and then you guys also host Movie Cat every Wednesday. You want to share about that?
So yeah,
Yeah.
Wednesday, our Movie Cat Trivia Night. We host at 7:00 Pacific time every Wednesday, and
on
it's
Twitch.
on Twitch, and it's a lot of fun. So
Hour of movie trivia, interactive movie trivia, so you can actually play along and win prizes.
and there's videos and
There's videos
stills
and audio, and it's not your everyday movie trivia.
and it's about an hour long. Every
It's so much fun, and every time I get a chance, you'll see me, Snax the Bunny, on Twitch in the comments being probably like 34th out of 36th place. That's usually where I'm at, is
But
like
you can still
second.
win a prize even when you can't, because we have a random prize giveaway as well. So.
Oh, good. Okay. Then
I want to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we should coordinate it.
We'll all do it.
So fun. Wednesdays at 7. Thank you guys so much for being on Buns and Roses. I'm Snax the Bunny, and I'll be here every week breaking down The Bachelor with a new cast of characters. Please subscribe to the podcast, rate and review. That's how we'll get new listeners. And follow me on social media. I'm at Free Snax on all social media platforms. That's FREESNAX, Free Snax. And until next time, enjoy the journey. Be vulnerable. Keep your walls down. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Take me down to the rose ceremony, the fantasy suites, holy matrimony.